What is going on, my beautiful brothers and sisters, fellow radiators of love? My name is Jamal Pope, aka J Phoenix, and this is going to be your astrology forecast for today, Monday, June 26th of 2023. So, got a couple of interesting things happening today. Of course, we have that moon that has moved into Libra recently. We have Mars, which is conjuncting Black Moon Lilith today, which has recently gone retrograde, and we are full swing into Cancer season, and Mercury will be coming into Cancer today as well. But let's take this step by step and show you what the day has in store. Well, like I said, we do have that moon in Libra, of course, which is looking for some sort of balance for sure in life, emotionally. Definitely a time where we're wanting to look for maybe even some sort of camaraderie with other people too. Now, of course, this moon's going to be making some interesting aspects, right? It's going to actually King Kong's both Saturn and Jupiter at the same time. Pretty much when it gets to about 8 degrees ish, essentially, it's going to King Kong's both of these energies. So it's going to make that 150-degree angle over to Saturn, awkward stare from across the room, right? And it's going to be making that same aspect over to Jupiter, which is in Taurus at 8 degrees. This is going to be, and this happens earlier in the day. This is 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is kind of the energy that we really wake up to. Now, of course, the moon is coming off at the first quarter square to the sun, which is going to happen pretty much in the middle of the night, around like 3 to 4 Eastern Time. So if you're like up really, really late on the West Coast, then you're gonna then like say like midnight or so, then you'll actually experience this per se when you're awake. Otherwise, it's gonna be happening when you're asleep. But coming off of that first quarter square of the moon, to the sun, sun is in Cancer. Definitely looking for more of like this emotional expression. Definitely looking for some sort of healing as far as that stuff goes. That moon in Libra, of course, is still looking to kind of connect some dots and trying to keep things balanced, keep things organized in a sense from that angle. Definitely trying to like work out sort of these sort of kinks or whatever like that. It's a more diplomatic kind of energy, right? But it is the square. So this is definitely a moment. The sun and Leo, everyone pretty much wears their heart on their sleeve. Like that's the whole thing about it. And they like it's definitely the emotional nature of everyone is really going to be shining through and coming forth, right? Now, with that moon being that it is here, making these awkward aspects over to Saturn and this awkward aspect over to Jupiter. Yeah, the moon is probably trying to find some sort of balance between these energies. And what's funny about it is that Saturn and Jupiter, in many ways, are on the same page. They're sextiling each other, right? Saturn is retrograde in Pisces. So there's definitely this element where we are having to grow up, anyways, in many ways. And Saturn is going back, it's going backwards. So if we're coming to Saturn and asking for questions, Saturn's going to be like, I'm on vacation, talk to, you know, the person that helps me out with my paperwork. So, talk to my assistant, right? Saturn right now, if we go to Saturn and ask for help, Saturn's like, talk to my assistant. An assistant's not necessarily going to know how to explain things the way that Saturn does. But Saturn has already given us the tools and it's going to be like, figure it out. That's where Saturn is right now. Figure it out. Saturn is on vacation right now, sipping some margaritas on the beach. Saturn's like, figure it out. So then we might turn to Daddy Jupiter, right? Jupiter's in Taurus and he's just like chilling on the farm, just like whatever. And the moon's gonna be like, well, Daddy Jupiter, don't you like to party? Don't you like to go out and do these things? Don't you have some sort of grand adventure? Don't you have some sort of quest to give me? And he's like, yeah, can you like go ahead and round up the cattle and stuff like that? And can you like shovel, all the manure and stuff like that? Can you bring these things around? Can you chop some wood over here? Can you do these things? And then we're gonna be like, this element where we're like, dang, why are y'all making me do hard work? Like, I'm trying to ask Saturn for help, and she won't give me help because she's sipping margaritas on the beach and she's telling me to go to her aide. The aide is sort of like, I don't know, and then we go to Daddy Jupiter, and he's just chilling on the farm, drinking whiskey and stuff like that, living the simple good life. Meanwhile, we're all still trying to find some sort of fire, some edge, because we still have all this Venus and Mars energy in Leo. there's definitely this element where we're just sort of like, is this it? I think that's really what this is. We're coming out to like, is this really it? Like, is this the magical life that I have built up to this point? All of these things since 2012, that's happened. All of these awakening experiences, all of these experiences have coalesced into this moment. And we're going to be like, is that it? It's not it. Pluto went back into Capricorn, right? It's going to come back into Aquarius. And then back into Capricorn, then back into Aquarius. Mercury, at the time that the moon makes these awkward aspects to Saturn and Jupiter, but have just entered into the 29th degree of Gemini, getting ready to move into Cancer. This is definitely a moment today where if we get too caught up in our head, especially with the other King Kunks energy that Mercury is now going to be making to Pluto, where we can get so caught up on this is what it looks like, but is this really the life that I manifested? Yes, it is. I think there's a level of acceptance that has to come with today. And if we try and think our way out of the situation today, it's not going to go over very well. This is not something that you can really think your way out of, right? This is something that's going to come from a deeper sense of intuition. The sun is in Cancer, right? We have to use both the mind and our emotions and our intuition and trust in many ways to move through these moments, right? Because I think a lot of us have like these grander ideas in our head of what our life should look like or what the world should look like, right? That's the other part about this. Like Mercury and Gemini is looking for all these answers, and now that's at the end of Gemini. It flew through its home sign. You gotta understand when Mercury comes home to Gemini, it's like Mercury is like kind of like grabbing a bunch of different things so he can go back out. They can go back out because honestly, Mercury is a they. It's a hermaphroditic kind of energy. So Mercury can go back out and start delivering the goods and the messages again. But when Mercury's back home, it's like it's kind of a reciprocity, but not really. Mercury's like, all right, I need this thing, I need this thing, I need this thing. Like Mercury is like a reporter, and when Mercury comes back home, Mercury is like, you go to Mercury's house, and there's like things everywhere. It's literally like one of those scenes where you have like all the pictures on the wall, and there's all these lines going here, 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 and here. When Mercury comes home, Mercury like kind of is like, all right, I got to edit that thing. That thing's connected over there. That thing's connected over there. Oh, and these two things are connected. And it's like, and then Mercury goes out and then does the investigative work, right? So Mercury at the last degree of Gemini is literally him, they, her, whatever, doing the investigative work, freaking drinking mad cups of coffee at night, staying up, trying to figure this thing out. And then Mercury will hit 0 degrees of Cancer and almost sort of like have like a sigh of relief, if you will. But you can see, like, I'm channeling Mercury, like that was a lot. That's a lot of energy. That's a lot of like over here, over here, over here, over here, over here, right? Especially with the King Kunks over to Pluto, which is like what is going on? Trying to figure out the world. That's the whole thing. Pluto at the 29th degree of Capricorn, which is the world card in tarot. It's a big freaking deal. The world, all these different establishments, and trying to figure that out. If you try and like think your way into a solution today, you may actually flip out a little bit. You know, it's squaring Neptune as well during this. That's the other part about this too. So we have to do with the square to Neptune. Yeah, it's a 2-degree orb, but it's still there. It's like in the back of your mind, you know. Just all happens with these king-connecting energies. That's the thing about today. It's a Monday too, so a lot of people don't like Mondays already. Man, this could be a day. Like, don't trip out about work stuff. Work-related stuff may get interesting today, for real, especially with Mercury at that edge. unnecessary petty arguments potentially with Mercury here. And Mercury's a truth teller too, so some interesting facts and things can definitely come out today as well. You may learn some stuff today about some people. You'd be like, "What? What?" Like that could potentially happen today, right? So, where's the positives in all this? Well, even though we have these challenging aspects, right? There's still going to be this callback to the Sun in Cancer, finding our sanctuary. When the sun is in the first 10 degrees, it's really the Cancer does rule the home, it does rule the mother, and blah blah blah, right? But when it's in these first 10 degrees, it's really about your personal sanctuary. So it could be in many ways your home, but it's also just like your space in general. Your emotional body, if you will. When the sun is in Cancer, it's shining a light on our emotional body and the areas of it that we need to actually heal. So that's the thing about this. So if we get way too caught up in our head today, especially with that King Kung's energy to Pluto, which has already destroyed the world as we know it, right? We're just in the flashback, right? We're in the time skip, if you will. So it already was destroyed. Now we're just sort of like learning why. Why, like, how did it get destroyed, right? We could definitely get so caught up in our head, but we really should see this as like, no, this is like, it's almost sort of like we come back home and they go, whoa, what happened to the village? And then someone tells you, it's like, oh yeah, this happened, and that person came and they did this, you know. Meanwhile, you were off on some sort of crazy adventure with a pervy sage, you know, becoming a stronger ninja, and then you come back and so much things have changed, right? Don't trip out today. There's the potential to trip out. But as soon as Mercury comes into Cancer, there's definitely going to be a bit of this sigh of relief, right? Now, as you continue to move this forward, and I can just go right to that moment actually, to be fair, because the moon, yeah. So Mercury will enter into Cancer. Look at that 00 around 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right? Sun will be at 5 degrees, and the moon will be at 13 degrees, getting ready to oppose Chiron, right? Coming off of that weird King Kong energy with both Saturn and Jupiter. By the time it gets to this point, there should be a level of reprieve, a level of like, but the first part of the day is just going to be a little bit wild and chaotic potentially, with Mercury at the edge of Gemini, getting ready to leave home. Like Mercury coming to this point is like Mercury finally getting some sleep in many ways. And then waking up the next morning is like, okay, it's time to go out and to get the new story. To get the new story. Like Mercury, when Mercury comes back home, Mercury is like typing and writing all the articles and posting everything. When Mercury leaves Gemini, it's time for the new story. It's time to get the new scoop, right? But before Mercury can get that new scoop, Mercury's got to rest a little bit. So that's like coming into that's kind of what this energy is, right? It's funny too because Mercury rules Gemini, and the second house of Gemini is Cancer. So in many ways, Mercury, in many ways, values that aspect, values the home, in many ways, right? Values the emotional body, right? Values the healing that can come from that, the healing that can come from telling the truth, even though it's not always packaged perfectly or tastes good, right? That's the thing about it. So Cancer has a big job being the first water sign of the zodiac. That's a huge job. But when we get to this point, I feel like there'll be a level of reprieve. So if you can get through that first part of the day, you know, find something to ground yourself in, you know, talk to people that, you care about, tell people, how grateful you are for them. These things are important. irregardless of whatever the astrology is. Gratitude is just important in general. But I think these are the things that are really going to help us. That's why the moon's in Libra. So the moon in Libra is looking for some sort of connection, but we should be looking for that meaningful connection. So yeah, if you have the ability to call your dad, call your mom, your brother, your sisters, your friends, reach out to those people. The moon in Libra is wanting to be a little bit more social anyways, right? We just got to make sure that we're surrounding ourselves with the people that are really going to truly lift us up, that appreciate us, increase our value, not depreciate us, but appreciate ourselves, that appreciate who we are. But boy, is it going to be a little chaotic before we hit this point. It definitely can be. I would not want to flirt. I would not flirt with Mercury at the edge of Gemini like this. I would not flirt with it unless you have a lot of air energy and you know how to navigate that. But I would not flirt with this. Not while it's King Conjunct Pluto. Not not with the moon making weird aspects to Saturn and Jupiter. I would not do that. And then what we have to lean on is this fiery what we have to lean on is the sun and Cancer, and then this fiery energy with Venus and Mars and stuff. But Venus is not at full strength because she's slowing down and she's going to retrograde in this area. She's already in the shadow zone, so she's going to retrograde in Leo. And then Mars is really wanted to just move things forward, you know. So I think there's an element here where it's like we want to lean on creative passions and a creative expression and really receive that aspect. And of course, there's this element of like wanting to find relationships that are passionate and fiery and stuff. We kind of have to, I think it's good to explore and enjoy these things, but also kind of temper our expectations a little bit because we are all going through a massive transformation. So the things that may initially appear to be super shiny may not be. But here's the thing, even if it's not shiny, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a dud. Maybe it just needs to be polished. And polishing requires some work and requires some time. Maybe this thing that you're pursuing, is the thing you are supposed to do, right? But it's a little, it's a little rugged, it's a little jagged, it needs to be polished. But we can find the beauty in things that aren't polished. Like, hold on, let me like trying to find like yeah, like this. Like I have like a couple different things here. This is the first thing that I kind of grabbed though, but like this right here, right? Like this amethyst crystal, right? Like it's somewhat polished, but it's not. It's still kind of rugged on the background, on the back too. But yeah, some of y'all are wanting to be like a super, super polished stone when really this is what you are. This is what the situation is. But this is still beautiful. It still has its value. Look how gorgeous this thing is, you know? So that's the thing about this energy too. So we're wanting it to be super polished and super perfect. And it's not. It's not. And that's okay. It's better than okay. It's the way God intended. Let's go ahead and get the cards for today. All right, so the cards that we have. Yep. I'm not surprised by this. We have the Page of Swords. Page of Swords. Followed by the Justice card in reverse. Followed by the Eight of Pentacles upright. Ooh. We have a powerful opportunity to really write our story today. But the problem that comes into play is any injustices that we perceive. Now, there are actual injustices in this world, right? There are insane injustices in this world. And I think we all want to fix those. Most of us want to fix those, right? And I think because we have this page energy that we can be a little bit more impressionable mentally today, or we may, some of our ideals may be a little bit more like there's a bit of a naivety to this energy today, as far as like almost sort of like I think a lot of us may be looking for a hero today. We may be looking for someone to really tell us what to do. This is like looking for a role model kind of energy, but the role model that you need is your higher self, right? This Eight of Pentacles here too, though, it's about like building. It's about what we've already have built. It's about the habits that we've already established and the successes that are coming from it. So we really can write our own story today, and I think it's good to have a little bit of naivety as far as like our ideals go. But there is this sort of maturation moment here, of course, with Saturn in Pisces, and it's retrograde too, though. Saturn's really giving us the opportunity to really write our magical story, giving us the opportunity of like the choice. Saturn forward is sort of like, especially in Pisces, it's like a lot of these spiritual things, it's like it's really fate, honestly. It's like, but like retrograde, the planet of karma, retrograde in Pisces, it's like we are in a grocery store and we get to pick what we want, and it's not limited. We have like an abundance of choices, right? Like the biggest grocery store that you can think of. And that is the issue, is because now that we are given so much choice, so many people don't know what they want because they don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, then you can freak yourself out by all the options. You can be impressionable because people are going to tell you what you want, even though it may actually conflict with what you really want. That's the other part of this too. So there's sort of an impressionability that can happen with this Mercury quincunxing Pluto at the last degrees before it moves into Cancer. There's an impressionability that comes with this. So that's why it's really important to know who you are. Because when you know who you are, you know what you want. And when you know what you want, you can really move forward and affect the greatest change that you can, change that you can on this world. Things move faster. They don't get mucked up as much. Now, granted, we have a lot of energies that are slowing down still, but I think this is an incredible opportunity to where like we can really write our story and don't lose the fire of the inner child. Don't lose that fire to just keep going regardless of what anyone may say, to just go at something with reckless abandon, regardless of whatever injustices you may feel that there are or that you have experienced, because we all have experienced them. But don't let those injustices be the reason why you give up or you don't succeed at something. Let that be the fuel to propel you towards achieving your dreams. It's funny too, because as I was about to shuffle this, the card of magic was like right there too. And honestly, that's the card that I'm going to draw. I'm not even going to shuffle it because like I pulled it apart and I saw magic, and that's just what I'm just being called to give y'all this card today. Card of magic. I wish it was. I wish you would like eventually adjust, but I guess that's the only way that y'all be actually see the actual letter. Otherwise, like the light's too bright. The frequency of magic supports our intrinsic ability to grow and expand beyond this moment, to move toward possibilities and expressions that are grand and profound as we can imagine. All that is required is our belief in their manifestation. Magic is absolutely 100% real. The only thing about it is that we think that it's something that happens automatically. Like it's just like a genie that snaps her fingers and things get manifested. But that's not necessarily the case. You know what's magical? What's magical is the single parent working two jobs to take care of her kids or his kids, because it goes both ways. The single parent working two jobs to take care of their kids and to put them through school. What's magical is the person who is so selfless that they are willing to potentially sacrifice their life, to save someone from a burning building, or to save someone because a robber's like trying to take from a convenience store. The whatever it is that causes that person to make that decision, that's magic. What's magic is someone who was told their entire life that they would not amount to anything. And despite all the odds, they overcame every single challenge and they accomplished their goals. Magic is life itself. You are a miracle already. I think sometimes we forget how magical life really is. I think it's because we see magic on TV and it's spells and it's Harry Potter and it's this sort of stuff and it's, riding on top of dragons and it's, witches' brooms and all that sort of stuff like that. And then we look at our life, like actual life, and we're like, this is kind of boring and mundane. But there's so much magic here. There's so much magic here. So much more, and it's so much more here. It's an abundance of it. Everybody can tap in. Everyone does tap in. Whether you do it consciously or subconsciously. But we are being given a great opportunity to do it consciously and to do it powerfully. And hopefully with love in our hearts and radiating love for the whole collective. That part's not always easy because people can frustrate you, people can disappoint you, people can throw you under the bus, people can put you down, people can backstab you, right? But so long as you can find one other person, and everyone can, I don't even care how bad or evil someone is. There's somebody out there that loves them. And there's something to be said for that. So I think today's gonna be a very powerful day. I think today it can kind of go one of two ways. I think today can be a day that actually restores faith in a lot of people. But I think today is also a day where there are some potential traps and people might get sucked more in to a more hedonistic kind of aspects and really only care about themselves and acting out of maybe the injustices that maybe have been committed upon them and the wounding and stuff like that, which is understandable to why people will react that way too. But if we can get through that moment and just kind of reach that peace of mind, if you will, and have some clarity, then we'll really see that regardless of what may have happened to us in the past, we can move forward. We can choose to move forward. I think it's all about choice. That doesn't mean that you forget about what happened. You don't even necessarily have to forgive those injustices right now, but just simply making the conscious decision, the conscious choice to move forward. That's what's going to make the difference today and every day for that matter. That's going to do it for your video. I hope that you all enjoyed it. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. Let me know how you feel in the comment sections below about this astrology forecast. I know it was pretty intense there, but that's what came through. But I hope that you all, whatever you get out of this, though, I really do hope that it assists you on your journey, because that's all I want to do. I just want to be your spiritual server and just provide my input, and hopefully it assists you along your journey and you can go out there and be the best version of yourself that you could possibly be. And I can be the best version of myself. The more I do this, the more I do my best to help others and, just step into what I feel is right. So I love you all so much. Y'all take care. Stay blessed. I'll see you on the next video. Adios. Sayonara.